The real bargains. Gail and Leslie Kaplan in memory of their parents, Moshe Prince Abbas Yosef Chaim Kava, Hanan ben Moshe Eliezer Bechana, Pesha Bas Yisrael David Torah, and Kosher ben Yoel Moshe HaKohen Bechana. Rexford Friends of Gladys Sherman Gutta Bas Meir. Michael Klein and Friends of Judah Klein, Yehuda Tzvi Ben Chaim Oliver Shalom. Marcia Bronner in memory of her husband, Harav Yerachmiel Ben Shmuel. Friends and family of Arthur Richholtz, Mordechai Yudel Ben Baruch Lev HaKohen. Friends and family of Siggy Bessler, Shalom Shraga Ben Dave. Friends of Marvin Weinstein, Mordechai Ozer Ben Yisrael Aaron Oliver Shalom. Sarah Alpert in memory of her husband, Harav Tzvi Lipa Ben Hillel. Rexford Friends of Maddie Friedman, Mindel Miriam Bas Kalman Ruvain. Bella and David Adler in memory of her father, Eliyahu Ben Yosef HaKohen. Friends of Honey Chaffetz, Hannah Shoshana Bas Yusuf. Friends of Jack Prince, Yaakov Yitzchak Ben Shmuel Dov. Ainsley Friends of Sandy Davidoff, Shalamis Bas Chaim Eliyahu. Friends of Judah Cohen, Yehudis Liba Bas Moshe. Month of Learning. Jack Gilman in memory of his father, Yitzchak Ben Avram Chaim. Carol and Josh Sonborn in memory of her mother, Yitta Bas Nachman Ben Yamin. Melon Haran Haller in memory of his brother, Yaakov Ben Avraham. Week of Learning. Sharon and Michael Glass in memory of her father, Shlomo Ben Yosef HaKohen. Evelyn and Ike Blocker in memory of her father, Harav Yeshaya Yitzchak Ben Harav Yisrael Yichel Halevi. Marty and Judy Engel in memory of his father, Yaakov Alter Ben Avram Dov Alav Shalom. There are no days of learning today, and we dedicate the learning today for an Elias Neshama of Yaakov Alter Ben Avram Dov Olav Shalom.
Okay, one of the things, if you remember, we learned yesterday that people of a town have a right to enact an act. There's a similar, actually, did I leave over a piece yesterday on the other page? No, we went to the top.
We're at the bottom of Tes Talmud Beis, Rav Yehuda Ben Leib. Oh no, I'm sorry.
No,
that's where we are. We're back. We're the tip.
No, we're up on top, right? Yeah, we're up on top by the butchers.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay. So here's the story. Remember, we learned yesterday about the people of town. So the truth is that also different professions can also, just like the people of town, different professions can make it right. Now, what is it? Why is it? So the Rishonim explain that just like the people of a town have a right to make assumptions about everybody's agreement to subjugate their property, etc. So, to the mutual benefit of everyone. So too is that as far as a given profession, each profession is considered in its totality like they are the people of the town. Just like the whole people of the town can make an enactment. So also the people, given the profession can make an enactment. They are the people of the town, as we're going to see, and that's why you'll see here the Bach learns, even though our Gemara says Hana Beitrei, he skips those words. It was Hana Tabachi. No, it's really by him was all of the butchers in a certain town made a rule.
And later on, it shows that.
Yeah. So Hanu Tabachi Davdi Inyana Bahadi Adadi. So they made an agreement. All the butchers in the town, all the shechters. Okay, the Kol Madav Yom Dechabre, they had a roster, and anybody who shechted on the day that was the day of the other person, they would rip up the skins of his animal. okay, of the behemoths that he shechted that day as a punishment. Like we learned, the people of the city have a right to enact enactments. They have a right to also to punish people who don't follow them. So one of the butchers went out and he shechted on the day that was his friend's day. So they ripped up the skins of his animals. After the coming of Rabba, when they came upon a Rabba, ironically, Chavina Rabba l'shaluma, he made the butchers pay. How could it be? Okay, Eisbe Rabbi, Basham and the Rabba. So yes, Makashi said. He said we learned. We just learned yesterday. See how Kitzosim, the people of Tam have a right to make rules and to punish people for not following it. So why shouldn't the butchers have punished this butcher for not following the rules? So how did Rabba didn't bother. He didn't answer. He apparently didn't feel he needs to respond. Amra Papa Shapa So Papa said Rabba was right not to answer anything. Why? Hani, this whole idea of the townspeople setting up rules, etc. When can the townspeople do it unilaterally, independently, when there's no big Talmid Chacham there? Where there's a big Talmid Chacham there, they have no rights to set it up. And since he was a Talmid Chacham that they should have brought, the whole thing was canceled, and therefore he made the butchers pay, because the original ability of the butchers to make a decree and to punish for transgressing it was nullified, because they didn't come in front of the Talmid Chacham of the town in order to do it. Tanur Rabbanan, we learn. We have a very interesting rule. Once you trust people to be the distributors of the tzedakah, we don't ask them for an accounting of what they did with the money. The same thing by the treasurers of the Beis Hamikdash. Once they get the money, we don't ask them for an accounting of how they spent it. The Afal Pisha and Raya L'Davar. Now, even though we're about to look at a pasuk, as far as the treasurers of the Beis Hamikdash, we actually have a pasuk. But as far as the tzedakah trustees, we don't have a proof, but we do have an indication of it from the pasuk of the temple treasurers. There is an indication. Shnamar, as it says, on the days of King Yehoash. So when it talked about the collecting of the money, okay, for the upkeep of the Beis Hamikdash, fixing the Beis Hamikdash, the people who gave the money, asher yitnu as a kesef al yodam, they didn't take an accounting from the people that who gave the money to all the workers. In other words, they trusted them. Why is that? Why? Because they do it faithfully. What's the point? The only reason you hire somebody to oversee the tzedakah is by definition because you consider them to be trustworthy. That's how the person gets the job. Who do you hire for that job? Who do you take? Who do you appoint to that job? Person that you trust. No. So it says here, So it says here, who do we do? Somebody we really trust. So by definition, since the qualification for the job is that the person is trustworthy, we don't follow up on that.
On the other hand, Moshe Rabbeinu accounted for everything down to the.
Okay, we have to discuss. That's another one. His side. Okay, down. Okay, so then we don't do it. I'm Rabbi Lazar. Even if, let's say, you have a good financial manager in so in your house, Yatsur, nevertheless, even though you're going to trust him, you still, when you give him the money, you should count it and bind it up. Okay, why is that? Shenamar, as it says, because when they gave the money to the ones who are going to be in charge of the Beis Hamikdash, they did bind it up and count it. Okay, count it. So even though they trusted them, but they also bound it and counted. Some people say because that money is immune to the damage of mazikim, of demons. Amar Puna Bodkim Nuzonos. Okay, we have a rule now. We're going to see two sides of the same argument, two different ways to look at it. One, when a person comes to ask for charity, do we check out to see if the person is legit or not? So if Puna says Bodkim Nuzonos, so the person wants food, we check out and see if he's legit or he's a liar. Yeah, okay. But ain't Bodkim Nuzonos. But if a person is standing there and he needs clothing, we don't check out if he's a faker. We give him we clothe him. Okay, so I can tell you what, it's a pasuk that makes me know that. Or it's common sense. How's it common sense? I call Mavazi. When a person is without clothing, they're disgraced. Okay, so you have to help them right away, not check it out. But local Mavazi, when a person is hungry, but they're not disgraced, okay, you can still check them out, see they're not a liar. Alternative, I could say crow. I could say what? It's really from a pasuk because it says, "Hello, prosler of you should break off bread for the one who's hungry." So in their text, not in ours, in their text, it was Bishin. It was written Bisin. It was written with a sin. When our text is written,
the actual text.
Ours is written with a samach, right? But
in a minute it'll have a samach.
No, but by them it was written with a sin. Tosas says that.
That's how they
Tosas
is repeated.
Tosas says that there are places where they hold it. They necessarily agree with our Tanakh. So it was written with the sin. So why is it written with a sin? See, okay. So but once you're at a sin, so sin and a shin are interchangeable. No, if you want to write sa and you write it with a sin, you're giving permission to the reader to read shin. You said if you write sin sa with a samach, so what? So you're not giving permission to darshan. But if you write sa with a sin, so you give a person to write already shin. So therefore, see parush. Okay, you have to read what? Therefore, what? So therefore, instead of reading break off the bread to the hungry one, but rather what? Approach. You're gonna what? You're gonna darshan, okay, and check it out. You're gonna check it out, seek it out, whether the person deserves it or not. First check it out, investigate, and then give it to him. Okay, but Hasam Ksiv, okay, and it also says what? But when it comes to the naked one, the pasuk continues, Kitira Arvikisi. So when you see a naked one, you have to cover him. Kitira Lata. The second you see him, you have to cover him. So therefore he brought also a verse. Now we're gonna learn the opposite, Rabbi Yehuda Amar. No, the opposite. Bodkin Luxus, if a person asks for clothing, we check out if he's a liar or he's legitimate. They both give them on us. But we don't check him. If a guy says he's hungry, we don't check him out. Ibai say Mitzvah, I can tell you it's common sense. Ibai say Makro, I can tell you that one for a pasuk. Ibai say Mitzvah, I can tell you what that it's common sense. Hi, Kamatsara. Why is that? Because a person who's hungry is suffering. Okay, so it's common sense. You don't ask questions. Hi, lo Kamatsara, and this person is not suffering. He's maybe embarrassed, but he's not suffering. Ibai say Makro, I can tell you it's a pasuk. Hello, pros. I says, dude, will you not break off bread, for the hungry person? So you see, pros alter immediately, just break it off, give him the bread. With the Karina, and we read it literally. Pros, not like the drush we learned before, but pros means give him the bread. But Hasam see when it comes to clothing, kitira arvik so when you see when you see a naked person and you cover him. So why does it say kitira? Which the rest we want. It's like what that you see it fit because you look at it and it's seeming that it's fitting. So when you see that it's fitting, then you clothe the person. Tiny Kabasi the Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, we learned like Rabbi Yehuda that Omer Kusuni, if the poor person says clothe me, both kinach, we do check him out. And a Sunni, if he says feed me, ain bokin, we don't feed me, we don't check him out. And then also we learn the following: only over the makam. A person is traveling from place to place. So you have to realize that the person who travels place to place, whatever you give him, he has to have a meal when he's always going from city to city. When he gets to the next city, he also needs to have food. Okay, so therefore, what we never give him less. Okay, mikika b'punyan. We give a loaf is 2 meals. A loaf of bread is 2 meals. We give him a loaf that sells for a punyon. Okay, which is a quarter of a kav. Okay, that sells for a punyan. How's that? When flour sells for 4 sa basela, so the loaf sells at a quarter kav loaf for a punyan. Why? Because because the price is really he gets double. Really gets a quarter. Really, what the punyan buys a half a kav, but the baker for all the grinding and the baking and the work marks it up 50%. So he gets a punyon for a quarter kav instead of the half kav. So therefore what? So we give him a loaf, which is what? We should give him a loaf of give him bread of 2 meals is the main point. Remember, he's gonna have a meal when he goes, and he also has to feel. Remember, a person has to have some food stored up to not be hungry. Remember, we learned that the enodoma mishia paspa is the difference when a person has food. A person is hungrier when even if the 2 people, so to speak, with the same stomach status at the moment, the person who knows that he has food is less hungry than the one who doesn't know that he has food coming up. Knowledge of having food also makes a person less hungry. There's 2 things: he needs food when he goes, when he gets to the next place. Especially remember because we distribute it in the daytime, not in the nighttime. Anyway, that's one. Okay, one. If the man's going to stay over in our town, no panas is lina, then we have to give him the needs of sleeping. My panas is lina. How do we support him for sleeping? From our papa, we give him a bed, a beisadia, we give him also a pillow. If you look, the word sa'ad is always the word for supporting somebody. So if you swallow up the ayin here, it's beisad, you would be the thing you lean on. Okay, so it's a bed and a pillow. Okay, Shabbos. Okay, if he decides to stay for Shabbos, no shooters on Shabbos itself, we give him 3 meals. I know it's ironic. Okay, why is that? Because the 2 meals he got the day before, he eats one Friday night and one Shabbos morning. By Shalosh Shudas, we give him the 3 meals. Okay, one for Shalosh Shudas, one for tonight, and one tomorrow. He's got to go. He's got to go. So you give him 3 meals on Shabbos before. Okay, Tana, we learned. This is ironic, but I've mentioned to you before. Once the person is already, unfortunately, sunk to such a sad situation that he's already collecting door to door, which means he's already unfortunately, had to overcome the embarrassment of collecting door to door, the work of collecting door to door. But he's there, aim is cutting, so you don't give him from the community fund. Why is that? Because he doesn't need it. The people who are not yet going door to door get from the community fund. He's already supporting himself door to door. This poor person who was already going from door to door, that's to come to a papa. He came to a papa and he wanted to get money from the fund. He didn't give him anything. Amarle Rav Sama Braid Rav Yevel Rav Papa. So the rabbi said to him, you don't understand. If you don't give money from the fund, people are going to think that you think he's illegitimate, and nobody else, and the people he's collecting from are not going to give anything. You have to give him. He says, 1 second. He said, well, how can I do it? By the time you didn't we learn? He said, if he was a poor man who was already going to do, we don't give him. Well, they said to him, okay, and we don't give him a big one. We give him a small one. So I'll tell you a story because I got plenty of time. Listen to this. This is a true story. Oh, for years, ever since a long time ago, we got a computer in Eretz Israel, very big before they said Unix. So because my chavrusa was advanced. So anyway, one year, a couple of my talmidim said to me, "Listen, in the 5 towns, Baruch Hashem, people are very wealthy. If you go there in Purim, there's a chance to raise a lot of money for the yeshiva." So he said, "Come, we'll go with you. You'll come to America. We'll go to the 5 towns on Purim day. You'll raise money for the yeshiva." I said, "Okay." Meanwhile, Purim night, somebody gave me a place to stay in Borough Park. So, next day I was going to go to 5 towns to raise money. Knew how to go hear the Megillah. Now, and my custom, since we had computers, I always carry a folder. You don't know me, but if I'm traveling, I always carry a folder. And I can have 6 or 7 books in one. I always have in my hand all the books that I'm learning. I printed out, from the computer. So I have a folder. So came Purim night. I have my folder. I'm learning. I'm happy, and I got no work till tomorrow. I can learn, do what I want. And I go to shul in Borough Park. Everything is Hasidim. It's all. I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any non-Hasidim. I don't know if there's a non-Hasidic shul in Borough Park anymore.
Yeah,
there's still. I'm just teasing, but everything's Hasidim. Yeah,
I lived in Borough Park.
Yeah.
That was life.
No.
Anyway, so I go out Purim night. I got to go hear the Megillah. So I go into a shul. It's a Hasidic shul. Fine, that's very nice. I'm sitting down. I'm happy. I got my things. Yeah, it comes all of a sudden, they daven mincha, and they're getting ready. We're going to daven Mar, we're going to Megillah. The Rebbe, I don't even know what kind of Hasidim were. The Rebbe is at the front, and with a very dramatic gesture, he calls me over. He summons me to come sit down. And he looks at me, apparently, the folder that I have, which have my learning, a lot of the people when they're collecting, they carry a folder with the papers that show that they're legitimate collectors. The letters of approval. I didn't, but so this Rebbe assumed that my folder, that I was collecting, I had my papers. So he looks at me, he says, he sits down and dramatically he says to me, first to me, he says, if you're not going to ask, you're not going to get anything. You have to go ask. Now, 1 minute. So with a mamish stage gesture, the guy was a big tzaddik. He bends over and he pulls out his wallet from his pocket, really with this dramatic gesture, and takes out the bills, whatever, and gives it to me in front of everybody.
That gives
and he said, to show everybody that he gave me money, he says, now go ask, he says. Now, I was collecting money for the yeshiva. I hadn't planned that night to go collect it. So I went to ran to everybody. I collected. It was fantastic. It was a bonus. I got it. But the point is, that's this principle here. There's a certain point that if the leader withholds support, even if he has a legitimate reason, unfortunately, to the crowd, what it looks like is what? It looks like the ani is not legitimate. It's a very important thing. So you have to.
Baltimore,
Yeah.
give out the letter,
Yeah.
there's a dot on the bottom. It's color coded.
Uh,
So this is a $2 guy. This
Oh,
is an
really?
$18 guy. This is a guy who really needs a heart transplant, and you give him as much as you can. And there's actually a color code on
That's good.
the
It's good they advise me. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
That was, I'd be there for the 5 pounds, but picked up that money, that borough park instead.
Yeah. I also went to the 5 towns. But the truth, you know what the truth is? The guy was a big tzaddik, and it was a beautiful thing that he did, and I never forgot it. I thought it was a very holy thing. The guy saw.
Well, it was Purim.
Yeah, but his mind,
You're not allowed to say no.
He was more than not saying no. He was here. A person, if he tried a person looking for help, he want to make sure that people help. Yeah, it was very good. I was very impressed. I was very impressed.
So we gave him an appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now Amar Abasi, Adam Atzmim, let's say Shlish is a shekel. No matter what, in any given, no matter how much a person has, he should never give less than 1/3 of a shekel b'shana per year. Shenema, how do we do? Because it says the people accepted upon themselves. We accepted, so to speak, a commandment, but it says commandments upon ourselves. Shlish is a shekel b'shana. Avodas beis eloheinu. That to give 1/3 of a shekel a year now, it looks like to the base of Mikdash, but it could be really for tzedakah, or they learn one from the other.
Better combine.
But yeah, but Avamar Rab Asi Shekul tzedakah can they call mitzvahs? He says, and you see from the way the pasuk is written, I see that tzedakah is equal to all the mitzvahs. Shenemar, as it says, ve'amadu aleinu mitzvahs, etc. Because it didn't say mitzvah angsi. It didn't say we accepted a mitzvah on ourselves. When by agreeing to give a certain amount of tzedakah, they accepted mitzvahs on themselves. Meaning what? That the mitzvah tzedakah is like all of the mitzvahs. So Simon, now we're going to see 3 statements: Gadol, Migdash, Moshe. Amar B'Lazar, Gadol Hamaisa, the person who makes other people give tzedakah, the collector, Yotem Nos, is bigger than the person who gives the tzedakah. Shenemar, as it says. Now, because why? Because it does say act here, but Shenemar, why a Maaseh tzedakah shalom? It really does say that the acts of tzedakah is shalom. V'avodas tzedakah is shalom. V'avodas tzedakah, and the work of tzedakah, hashket v'betach, is tranquility and security at all and forever. So you see what that but the word it's extra. And if we learn instead of learning masa, we learn me'aseh. Okay, we learn as if it said me'aseh, the one who makes other people give the tzedakah. Okay, so he's going to get the bracha of shalom, which is the biggest bracha. So you see that the one who makes other people give tzedakah is bigger than the person who gives it. Hello, pros. Okay, and who does it? And also more, if the person has good mazel, if he's fortunate, what's going to be the result? He's going to be able to break off bread and give it to the poor person. Lo zacha, okay, and if he's fortunate, he's going to get to give his money to a poor. Lo zacha, if he wasn't zacha, he didn't have such good mazel, but Aminim Rudim is going to bring back crying poor people, which is really here the Roman government, Tavi Bais, is going to have to pay them. But even that has a value, because when the person, even that has a value. It's also considered helping people. Amrlu Rabba Libnei Mechuza. Rabba said to the people of Mechuza, since it's always going to be either they give tzedakah or the government's going to get it. But Metusa Menaicha, he said, I beg you, Osubadi Adadi, do tzedakah one to the other, help each other. So she should have peace with the government. He should be left alone. Yeah. It's another statement. Well, as long as the base of Mikdash was standing, Adam Shokel Shiklo, the person would give his shekel to the base of Mikdash. Mischaper, he'd have kapara. Achshav Shem base of Mikdash Kaim. Now that the base of Mikdash is not standing, Emos in stock. If people give tzedakah muta, fine. And they'll get atonement. Yeah, they'll get atonement. Why? Because and some people like the Mashal says, for example, because the poor people eating is like the mizbech, consuming it. Being law, but if not, if they're not going to give tzedakah, then the guy are going to come. The note they're going to take it by force. The awful pecan, and even though the guy come take it by force, like I said before, nechem tzedakah, it's still considered to be a tzedakah. Okay, and the fact that the fact that the government forcibly takes from them, it's still considered to be tzedakah. Still, in the end, they help. Yeah, they help. Okay, Rabba. Hi Milsa ish toiling. This thing was said to me. Now, this is a funny expression. Who said it to him? He says, Ula, by a kid, okay, Mishagesh or Chasidim, the kid who perverts the ways of his mother. This is what was said to me. And who's that? That's Rav Sheshes. He's calling the kid who perverts the ways of his mother. Mishmeid Rav Elazar. He said to me the name of Rav Elazar. My dichti, what's it's written? It says, V'yilba staka kashiryon. A person is going to wear tzedakah like an armor. Malacha to teach you. Now, how they used to make armor? They used to make it in order.
Little
so
pieces of metal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, either chain or pieces. Why is that? Because you have to realize the problem. One of my favorite places in the Navi, and you got to do it. I have to. Hashem should bless. We should learn everything, but it's in the. You gotta love the Navi. But there are parts that are funny. You understand? So one of my favorite scenes in the Navi, and I can't take it. Here's this very dramatic moment. Here's little David. There's Big Shoal. Shoal's a big strapping guy. And David's a pipsqueak, compared to him. And it's such a beautiful thing. He's so brave. He's gonna go. No, he's gonna go out and fight. He's gonna go out and fight Goliath, fight the giant. So Shaul puts his armor on David and Melech, but David's a little guy. So David says, "I can't walk. I can't punch. He's too big." So anyway, the thing is, armor is a very good thing. But first, it weighs, and secondly, it's brittle. So they figured out their technology. They figured out how can you have a metal that's flexible so you can fight. So they were able to make a flexible shirt. That was either in English you call it a coat of mail. So it either means what? It's either chain, right? It's either chains, which is it's supple. You can bend, or they had a way to make like plates, like one overlapping the other. Right? Exactly, overlapping. So that's the point here. So they're talking about armor, not like the armor of the other guys who look like they're in a tin can. In the joints, yeah.
And
but
the armor was custom made
for the guys, yeah. So it's not the tin can armor. They're talking about what? They're talking about the armor is made up from all these little pieces. But why is it considered a tzedakah? You wear tzedakah like this flexible shirt. To say to you, just like this shirt of armor called klipa. Each one of the little scales or whatever it is, even when each one is only a little piece, I can't protect the person, but they all join together to be one big armor shield. Also tzedakah is the same thing called pruto mitzaref l'cheshbon gadol. It's a big chiddush that what by tzedakah, even though you're giving a penny, it's considered and all that. But it's not just. It's considered what you get the credit. It's considered really what when you gave lots of pennies, you get the credit for the sum total. Okay, he says this is, but it's a different person. But to show you that tzedakah is like a shirt, because here it's kind of negative. Because here the Rishonim are saying what that their tzedakah ends up to be like a dirty garment that they have to throw off. Okay, beged eden kotzikos, all of our righteousness is like a dirty garment they have to get off. But the main point is what? My beged zeh. But the point is, well, how could tzedakah be a garment? My beged zeh, kol nima v'nima, just like any shirt, that every thread mitzaref is the beged gadol. Each thread is a nothing, but all together they make a shirt. They make one big garment. Tzedakah of tzedakah also by tzedakah called pruto. Each single penny mitzaref is the cheshbon gadol. It's all figured into one big cheshbon. I might correlate ula. So that was said to him. This was the person who said it. So how can we call Rav Sheshes who said? How can we call him the kid who perverts the ways of his mother? He says Ula Meshagesh. Why do you call him that? Okay, the boy bar Amim Rav Sheshes. He said what happened one time. The Rav boy asked this question to Rav Sheshes. He said to Rav Sheshes, the whole long thing, whatever we call tzaras, leprosy, whatever word you want to call it, it's a long process to get better. So one of the things that happened by tzaras is that once the guy is really okay, he's healed, but he has to have a purification ceremony. And first he has to purify, and then it's a whole week after he brings the birds, etc. And then it's a whole week later he brings this. He finishes up with the sacrifices and again cleansing, all these things. No, he has to. What happens? So what happens in that interim time? So we know. How do we know that he b'shematame adam? How do we know when he touches somebody during that week that he makes them unclean? So he says the answer is he says so. Rav Sheshes answered. Since we do know for sure that the clothing that he wears becomes tummy during that time, the tummy adam, we know also that he also by touching a man that he makes the man unclean. Amar leis or the boy said to him, maybe clothing that's touching him is different. And who says that he touches even clothing not touching him, or a man who says he makes him tummy? Because I'll show you there's a big difference between clothing and touching other people or other things. Why? Because we learned for example, let's say a person moved an avela, okay, with the matame begotten. No, it's not. He moved it. Okay, Hasten the veil. So the matami gadol. We know what that it makes the clothing he's wearing unclean. Nevertheless, vein matami gadol. But when he touches a person, it doesn't. He doesn't make them unclean. So you see that it's not connected. So if Shesha said to him, okay, I'll give you a different proof. I'll share it to matami gadol. He says, okay, I'll give you a different proof. How do we know that a unclean one of the 8 creatures, that makes a person unclean with its dead body? Okay, how do we know that it makes the man unclean? Okay, who touches it? He says, La Bisham de Batami God, and don't we know it because it makes the clothing unclean? So we learn also it makes the man unclean. He says, Amalei, what are you talking about? He says, Sheretz, he says, Sheretz is written explicitly that okay, Oisha Shayiga B'chol Sheretz, the Oish, it's a man who touches any Sheretz. Okay, so okay, I'll still give you a proof that they go together. How do we know that semen makes a man unclean when he touches it? There is because what that the clothing that the person is wearing becomes unclean when also the man who touches it becomes unclean. Our says also that's not true. He says is also by semen. It's written explicitly that the man becomes unclean. It says ish. I preempted. I want to say. I said this later. I tried to say it before. It's now. Ish. It says the Rabbah says ish comes to include even a person who touches the semen. So apparently Rabbi Boy was relating to him or answering him in a way like a light way, like a show that he wasn't so respectful, that he was very 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 jolly. So Cholash died to Rav Shesha. Rav Shesha became insulted. He felt bad. And because he felt bad, Rabbi was struck and dumb. He couldn't speak. And what? And also he lost his learning. He became too hard. He couldn't learn. He couldn't remember his learning. He couldn't learn. Even now, whose mother came? So the simple way we're going to read is Rav Shesh's mother. But other people learn that it was really Rav Boy's mother who was Rav Shesh's nursemaid. No, it's either way. The sense story makes sense.
They were related.
He nursed from her. He nursed from her. He's also like a mother. So either it's Rav Sheshes is literally his mother, or his nursing mother, who was really Rav Boy's mother, which in one sense makes more sense because she'd be the one to plead for the welfare of her son. But so wherever the mother came, and she's crying in front of him, what to Ishadam and make him better. And the Rav Sheshes should relent. Samcha, she cried out. Rav Sheshes did not respond because Rav Sheshes held that the covenant of Torah demands that he not relent. Then she said to him, and she uncovered herself. Okay, look at these breasts. She uncovered herself. In other words, she degraded herself. She uncovered herself. What? To look at these breasts that you nurse from. At that point, what there was such a drastic move. Boy, then he davened for him, and he got better. Okay, and once we're on this subject, okay, but what's the answer? No, we know on where do we know in the end? How do we know that a Metzora during the week when he's becoming clean, that if he touches a man, it makes him unclean? We learn Nemar. Kibus begadim b'meisipuro. Because since it talks about what cleaning the clothing, okay, of the Metzora when he's counting, the Nemar kibus begadim b'meichaluto. But also in the days when he's actually considered, it's been decided he's absolutely a Metzora. It also talks about kibus begadim, okay, cleaning the clothing. Malahalan so just like over there when it's like when the same words appear of kibus begadim, it's just like there when he was a Metzora, that if he touches somebody, he makes him unclean. But also here during the week that he's becoming clean, he also betami. The last statement is what? That a person who does tzedakah quietly, where nobody knows, he's bigger than Moshe Rabbeinu. Why is that? Either Moshe Rabbeinu, see by Moshe Rabbeinu it says, Moshe says to Hashem, I'm afraid. He says, I'm afraid of these two bands of angels, the angels that bring down the anger, Bachema, and the greater anger, or whatever we're doing is anger and bigger anger. Okay? So he says, I'm afraid. When it comes to a person who does tzedakah, we see the much they can knock it all out. Okay, because it says, Matan b'seisa yichba'af, a quiet gift, the person gives tzedakah quietly, nobody knows, it covers over, okay, anger, okay, af, okay, and it says, v'shochad b'chei. And again, when there's this, which really means what? Even though it looks like bribery, but bribery is Hashem. But this bribery that's held close to the breast, held close to the chest, it's a secret. Chema Aza. It's also going to knock out even this powerful chema. So you see that tzedakah, private, quiet tzedakah, knocks out these two gigantic angers. Well, Rav Yitzchak. But the truth is, this is really, that's what he said. But Rav Yitzchak, but this is against Rav Yitzchak. Rav Yitzchak said it's not quite that way. Now Rav Yitzchak, he says, Af Kofa, he says, no, you're right. He says, a quiet tzedakah will conquer Af, the first level of anger. Chema and a kofa, but chema cannot. Should never, because you have to read the pasuk like this. But shochad b'cheik chama aza. When this quiet bribery, this tzedakah that's held close to the chest, chema aza. Still, you have the strong chema. It doesn't solve the chema, the bigger anger. Even though what, that there's this bribery held close to the chest that he gave tzedakah quietly, chema aza, they still have the bigger anger. So it only conquers one. Some people say Rabbi Yitzchak said like this: from this place, any judge who takes bribery may be chema aza. He brings down this powerful anger. Why? Okay, mighty anger. Okay, to low. He brings out this mighty anger to the world. Whenever it says when the person has this hidden bribery, literally, he means literally bribery. Yeah, but Gomer, it's going to bring down anger. Anybody who gives a penny to a nani, he's blessed with 6 blessings. And the one who makes him feel better, that he comforts him with words, and makes him feel better to him, he gets he gets 11 brachas. So amazingly, you realize that if you do both, you get 17 brachas. You say if you give him.
Aren't the 6 included in the 11?
No. If you give money and you bless him, you get 17. I'll show you. So if you give money to, you get 6 brachas. Here we're going to say we have the 6 spelled out. You see, we're going to spell out the 6. You see, hello pros. Break your bread. Once you break your bread, bring home these crying or sad or suffering poor people. Okay, kitir arm when you sing Vagomer, all these things Vagomer, but kitir arm Vagomer when you see the person naked. So now here's what it says. And this part we don't have written, but here it is. It says 1, Azi Baka B'Shacharecha, your light's gonna pierce forth in the morning. Baruch your healing, Mehera Titzmach, is going to quickly come forth too. V'halach lefanecha tzidkecha, and your righteousness is going to go before you. Kavod Hashem yasvecha. The honor of God is it could be gathering to the right place, okay, or it could be another way to read. It means okay.
Will be your
Yeah, or it's going to take you to the place where you're supposed to be. It'll gather you to the right place. Asikra of Hashem Yaneh. You're going to call out, and Hashem's going to answer. And what Teshava v'yomein, you'll supplicate, and Hashem will say, "Okay, I'm at you ready." That's 6. But a person when a person comforts the ani, let's say he doesn't have money, if other people hold it, he does both. He gets 11 brachos. Shemar, as it says, you're going to give your own soul, you're going to give your words, you stand over these good words to him. Okay, v'nefesh na'na taspiyah, and a person who is really suffering, you're going to satisfy and make him feel better. You're going to get all of these good things. Now, here we're not going to see the whole 11. We're going to see only a bunch. Okay, when it's dark, your light's going to shine forth. And when you have darkness yourself, you're going to get like the afternoon light coming through. Okay, Hashem is always going to pay attention to you wherever you go. Okay, and whenever you're hungry, whenever you're thirsty, okay, when there's thirst, okay, and a lack of good things in the world, that Kosh Baruch is going to satisfy you. And they're going to build, because of you, they're going to build up the ruins of the world. Mostly Dar V'Dar Tekomim, and the foundations of all the generations you're going to bring up, and there's a whole bunch more that the other Mepharshim bring in. It's very strange. What do you mean a person who chases tzedakah and chesed, he's going to find life, and tzedakah and kavod? Okay, the other thing's good. By the way, mishum derov tzedakah, even tzedakah, because he pursues giving tzedakah, he's going to have to receive tzedakah. What kind of reward is that? El Malacha teaches if a person runs to give tzedakah, Hashem gives him money. He gives him the money to give tzedakah with. I actually have a friend, really is a righteous guy, And he always had this guy just wherever he could look at something and it made money. He was always like this. And one time he didn't tell me this, but I know from my other friends. One time he walks into a gathering of all of his friends, and he gave every one of his friends a check for $10,000. Every one of his friends at this gathering, he said, "This is for you to distribute to tzedakah. This is yours to give you the pleasure of giving out tzedakah." He gave every guy.
This
Yeah, yeah.
It was a college graduation where the guest, the speaker
Yeah.
was a wealthy guy. He gave every kid $1,000, 500 to keep and 500 to give.
To give that, that's
That's
right.
a
Yeah.
Shahaya.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, he said what? He said, what's the pasuk telling you? I go to Baruch Hu Mamsi b'nei Adam, but here's what it is. No, he said, what do you mean if a person pursues tzedakah, how's he gonna get tzedakah? So it means like this. He said, Mamsi b'nei Adam, Mahugarim lasos them tzedakah. This is what you said yesterday. He finds for them people who are deserving. If a guy wants to give tzedakah, Hashem rewards him, but he gives him people who deserve tzedakah. So he should get the reward. What's the alternative? What's the other way? What's the other possibility? The answer is what? The Darash Rama. Okay, so he means what? The Zocha to not have happened to him what Rava explained, the Darash Rava, because he explained my dichti, what's written in the pasuk by Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu cursed the people of Anosos, and then he added to his curse the following. He said to Hashem, he cursed them terribly, and then he said, "V'yu muchshalim lefanecha beis apcha asei b'hem." He says, and they should stumble. Okay, and when you're angry, and you're going to do to them. What does that mean? Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Amar Yirmiyahu lefnei Kadosh Baruch Hu. What did Yirmiyahu say to Hashem? Well, shalom. These people should be punished. He says, afilu b'shasha kofin esitzron. Even when these rishoyim now want to, so to speak, rein in their evil inclination. Now they want to do tzedakah, and what? And when they want to get merit, cause them to stumble with people, poor people people who are not, posing as poor, who are not deserving of the support. Why? That they shouldn't get the reward. So here, the second way we said is what? The person gives tzedakah. One way is if you give tzedakah, they'll give you money to give tzedakah. Now, if you give tzedakah, you run after tzedakah, Hashem will make sure that you'll get people who deserve tzedakah. Anybody who accustoms himself to give tzedakah, zoche, okay, if he merits, okay, having a lobanim, balei chachma, he's going to have sons who are what? Who are wise, balei osher, who are wealthy, balei agada, who teach the agada. We're going to see what balei chachma. How do we know they're going to have wisdom? They'll see because when the pasuk says, "Road of tzedakah b'chesed," the person going to chase after tzedakah. It says, "Yim tzachayim," he's going to find life. What is life? Life is what? Like Thursday, you find me, you find life. That's talking about Torah. Bali Osher, what do you mean they're going to have wealth? They're tzedakah, okay, because it says what? That they're going to find tzedakah, they're going to have money to be able to give tzedakah. Bali Agada, what does it mean that the people who can explain, teach the Agada, the Ksiv V'Kavod, because it says honor. And this is amazing. Ksiv Hacha, it's written here, Kavod, honor. But Ksiv Hasam, another place says, Kavod Chachamim Yinchal. It says the Chachamim are going to inherit a Kavod. Why is that? Because people who teach Agada, people respect people who teach Agada. And therefore, what? So therefore, and since it says they're going to get covered, it means what? That they're going to have the ability to teach Agata, and that's a das.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Happy
morning.
Revi, as we say. I have a similar question.
I want you to know, Avigdor Miller, of blessed memory, I didn't see it, but I was told that he put up a flag.
Like what?
4th of July, he put up an American flag.
Say it again.
He put up a flag.
Because
Oh,
that
he put up a flag.
Of course, that's all. Yeah,
maybe today you don't
Yeah.
have because of all the
He put up a flag.
Well, then it was a very much different
Yeah.
world.
So I saw on the internet, there's a man who claims to be captured, an Israeli. He thought he was doing a little something favor. He went to New York to the package, and now they caught him. It had drugs in it. Somebody tricked him, supposedly.
Oh, somebody tricked him?
That happens all the time. People are idiots and take the package. There were a whole bunch of yeshiva guys that went to Australia.
Yeah, I tell you, you know what I do? When somebody asks me, I say, if you come with me, come with me to security. Go with me to security. If they approve it, I'll take it for you.
Yeah, but even then,
But he can't get to
Do
it.
we,
He can't do
are
it.
we hired?
they have stuff buried.
We
What?
have to feel that it's Pidyon Shvuyim if it's true. I don't even know if it's true. They claim that this man is they're trying to kill him in prison. And
Where is he? What country is he?
he's in an anti-Semitic country in
Yeah.
Ukraine or something like that.
It's on this.
It could be, it could be a
It's not
scam.
Pidyon Shvuyin when the guy was incarcerated for a crime. It's not Pidyon
So he's
Shvuyin.
claiming he was set up.
He was convicted in a court, otherwise he wouldn't be in jail.
Depends on the court.
He claims that he was tricked. He didn't know better.
But he's of ignorance of the law. I mean, if you're stupid enough to take up something from a total stranger and bring it into
was
another
a good
country
friend.
without having a
A
much
good
of
friend
it,
who was a tzaddik.
Not such a good friend. Not such a good friend, huh?
I was wondering if that falls under the rubric of tzedakah that maybe
Hey,
we
bro.
not.
Pidyon Shvuyin is not stuck. That's a different deal altogether.
Well, it's
You have
the
to
highest
sell your
level.
house.
The Gemara says it's the
Pidyon
highest
Shvuyin.
level of tzedakah if it's real.
If the guy's life is in
People
danger,
who-
so you have to even bad guys, we save bad guys. We save bad guys. Even I'm not saying he's a bad guy.
Right.
Oh.
We see there are a lot of people in Eretz Yisrael in particular that have large families that can't afford the children, they can't afford the weddings and buying apartments. Now,
My humble
They still
opinion.
need
My
tzedakah.
humble opinion. After
That's
I want you. I want you to know something. I want you to know something. I want you to know something. This is off the record, but I personally never approved of the system.
You know what?
Wait, and I didn't participate in it, and I helped everybody avoid it. And I know somebody personally, a girl, and she was proposed a shidduch with a really, really illustrious family, and they felt that their son is a gem, and that her father should provide an apartment for her to get the shidduch.
That's Israel style.
She found out, and she went to the boy, and she said, I canceled the engagement. She said, go marry an apartment.
Go marry the apartment.
Go marry an apartment, she said.
very good.
She said, marry an apartment.
Well, they do.
No, every loving parent in the world will do everything to help their children. I'm sure. But to put this undue and unfair
Burden.
thing of burden on people, I think is not right. I want to tell you something. I avoided the whole system. Hashem blessed me, and I'm not bragging. I got wonderful son-in-laws, daughter-in-laws, wonderful people. You know, saying that, but I avoided the whole system because I hated it, and I was always against it. And one of them, I'm not going to tell you, one of the in-laws, when it came time to make the wedding. So in Yerushalayim, usually you have a meeting before, and it's a big,
Right,
it's a
that's
it's a
the
big,
Tanayim.
it's a high-powered business deal, with high pressure.
Right.
And the person walked in, and you could see they were nervous as could be. And the person looks at me and says, if I only have this much money,
Right.
which was a little, I said, I don't care how much money you have.
That's fine.
We'll take the money we have, and we'll make a nice wedding, and
And we'll do the best we
we'll
can.
make our children happy. And you saw like 30 years went off the person's face. They were so relieved.
Yeah.
I never approved of it.
I
never approved of it, and I never
have
never
a
participated.
friend who's fairly wealthy guy.
Yeah.
So the parents, which you were now with the parents, he's in LA. The parents flew in from New York. I flew in from New York for the L'chaim,
Yeah.
because I made this. Time comes, the parents run out, get in the car and drive away.
All right.
So I went, Erwin, what happened? He said we were discussing who's going to do what.
Remember,